What's going on, Jeromes? It's a beautiful Friday, and the NFL draft is mercifully less than a week away. And everyone and their mom, basically every single major mock draft you see out there, has the Vikings going cornerback at 23. And whether it's Joey Porter Jr. from Penn State, who I would love, the ball hawk Emmanuel Forbes from Mississippi State, all 166 pounds of him, or Deonte Banks, thanks, coming in from the University of Maryland. Corner makes sense. It really does. But the Vikings have had a recent history of really shooting their shot on corners, especially utilizing high draft capital. So since 2006, when Rick Spielman came aboard, and then 2022, Kwesi came aboard. So last two Vikings GMs, they have spent 12 day one to day two, so top 3 round selections on cornerbacks, including 7 top 50, 8 if you want to go to top 54. So the Vikings, they certainly have spent high draft capital on cornerbacks, and part of that is Zimmer coming from a defensive background. Even though he boasted that he could find cover 2 cornerbacks down at the 7-Eleven, doesn't he know that this is quick trip country? Anyways, but going through this list, because this made me feel really good, man. Well, not really, but back in 06, Cedric Griffin, the pride of Texas, Hookem, he was good, except for injuries. Marcus McCauley, 3rd rounder, no. Asher Allen, 3rd rounder, no. Chris Cook, no. Josh Robinson, he had like one brief second where he was good, and then Alshon and Brandon Marshall, when they were on the Bears, did really terrible things to him in the game in Chicago. Xavier Rhodes was an all-pro for a hot second, and then he just sort of fell off. Trey Waynes had his moments. Mac Alexander was decent in the slot the first time around, second time not so much. Mike Hughes never really panned out. Jeff Gladney, rest in power. Cameron Dantzler was waived, and then, I put Evans in there because, close enough. But the Vikings did spend 2 draft picks on cornerbacks in Kwesi's first draft last year, so that is pretty noteworthy. So, the Vikings haven't been shy of shooting their shot at cornerback, and will they do it again? Corner is a position of need for the Vikings, and this is a damn fine cornerback class. Now, they don't have to necessarily go corner at 23, but mid-rounds, there's going to be a lot of voracious talent out there. Now, certainly would be nice to have Witherspoon or Gonzo all up in there, but probably going to be gone very early in the draft. But like I said, if Joey Porter Jr. makes it 23, hell yes. Deonte Banks, I like a lot. Julius Brents, Forbes, Cam Smith, Garrett Williams coming off that ACL, Kaylee, and also Clark Phillips III, maybe pound for pound one of the better cornerbacks in this class, or better players in this class overall. And Brian Flores, of course, loves defensive players, especially secondary guys, loves building his defense from the back to the front. I'm sure he would love some draft picks being spent on cornerbacks, but it should be noted that his 3 seasons with the Dolphins, Miami only spent 1 draft pick on corner, not just 1 high draft pick, 1 total draft pick, and that was Noah Mbinigene in 2020, first round pick, which didn't work out. But also, the Dolphins had Byron Jones as well as peak Xavier Howard, so maybe that's why they also didn't spend up on cornerback either. But the Vikings currently do only have 5 draft picks now. Trading down from 23, if you can find a buyer and get decent value, does make sense. But as right now, limited resource in terms of having draft picks. So we'll see what Kwesi wants to do. I do think that, of course, analytics is important, but Kwesi's human, so he does have a degree of ego, because he did trade up and spend a 2nd rounder on Booth. He did trade up and spend a 4th rounder on a Caleb Evans, and if those guys can stay healthy, they do have some nice length on the outside, and I think certainly could be contributors and starters or high-level guys this year. And then they brought in Byron Murphy Jr., going to play on the outside in base, kick inside in nickel, and then also Joe Juan Williams, the former 2nd-round pick out of Vanderbilt. It didn't work out with the Patriots. Maybe could work out here on the outside with the Vikings. But other than that, you got Gowan and Barnes, sure, but certainly it would be nice to add a top-end body into this cornerback room. And hell, maybe the Vikings do just stick and pick at 23 and get a corner, or trade up or maneuver in the 2nd round and still take another guy on island relatively high in this draft. And that has been their tendency. That has been their tendency, and Kwesi did not deviate from it, spending a second and fourth on corners last year, but we'll see if he does the damn thing again. But your thoughts are thoughts. Will the Vikings draft another cornerback high in this year's draft? Let us know your thoughts and our thoughts in the comment section below. Subscribe for daily Vikings takes. Want to support the work? Put a little something in the Venmo, but till next time, Skol, production value.